We've got a jam-packed show for you guys today, and it's going to be a very interesting one because we've normally do a Friday Q&A session with you guys, and today it's going to be kind of split because we were provided with 3 media interviews from the camp that took place for the Proteas in Pretoria, I think it was, and Johannesburg, before they go to Durban to prepare for the Australia series. Now we've got JP Duminy, the batting coach, that spoke to the media. We've got BREVIS that spoke to the media, as well as Donovan Ferreira. So we're going to be listening to these interviews and see if there's any gems that were planted in those particular interviews from the players and the coach, and see what they had to say and try to analyze it and try to speak about it on today's show. You guys can ask me questions as well in the second half of the show if you guys still do need to or still want to, and we can get straight into everything together and let's see how it unfolds. So before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, can you please subscribe to the channel? We'll be on the road to 4,000 subscribers. Click that notification bell as well for all future videos. Yeah, we're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. We're not far off, so please go ahead and do so for me right now. It really doesn't cost you guys anything to do so, because I see that 33% of you guys are watching the shows and not subscribing. So please go ahead and subscribe. What I also need you guys to please do is download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. You can also help Cricket Fanatics out and us out of the Cricket Fanatics magazine by becoming a Patreon today. There are different tiers for you guys to sign up with. You can go ahead and do so, please. The link is on the screen as well as in the description right now. And then also go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's show. It is going to be quite a lengthy one. So let's get into it. Very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show Q&A session supposed to be. I'm your host, Khalid Mohin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket, and also I get to answer your questions in the live chat. But we're going to kickstart this show with something that happened today. There were a couple of interviews released to the media. The Proteas batting coach JP Duminy and DEWALD and Donovan Ferreira spoke to the media today, and we're going to try and listen to their interviews and try to dissect what has been said, so we can try to get an understanding of where the Proteas are right now, where these players are right now, especially these 2 newbies who are new to the Protea setup. So let's get into it and let's have a listen to what has been said. We're going to start off with JP Duminy, the batting coach, and see what he had to say first and foremost. Let me know if the audio is good. Let's get into it.
I guess just general stuff. Camp, to know how are the guys looking forward to sort of the start of the international season.
Yeah, let's start with the camp. I mean, it's certainly something that was unexpected for all of us. I think we went in not truly understanding what we're going to receive, and we were extremely surprised by some of the takeaways. I was actually chatting to my wife about it last night, where I was just telling her it was absolutely extraordinary to hear the stories, the people that hosted us, and in particularly, the theme was around the power of relationships. And if you think about the context of what we do day to day, how important relationships are within the team, and in particular our relationship with the South African public. And there's certainly opportunity and room for us to expand on that and have a greater idea of the power and impact and the influence that you as a South African cricketer, whether it be staff, player, management, can have on a nation. We're in the business of inspiring and uniting, and we do that through the unique opportunity to play a sport that we love, which ultimately, yes, we get judged on by results. But what a huge privilege it is to do what we do.
You've been a part of it for a while, going back to your playing days, and you were at that, you were at the juncture when the whole Protea 5 thing and the identity was so important.
Yeah.
Hearing you speak the way you did now, I'm wondering, how is what you guys did at this camp different from what you've experienced previously when part of the Proteas?
So I guess the best way to answer that is not that it's different. I think there's add-ons. So particularly for myself, who's been through a journey with the Proteas as a player, it was great reminders. And I think if you think of a DEWALD BREVIS who comes in as a newbie, that would be a different experience for him. So I think it's important to understand that the experiences are very different for everybody. You come from different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences. But I think that the great takeaway for me is just great reminders of the power and impact that you have, and the opportunity that you have to influence. And that should be not necessarily as a weight bearing experience, but more as an inspiring moment for you to know that the responsibilities that come with representing the Proteas is there to allow you to thrive rather than deprive you of the experience.
Maybe just on integration of the new guys, just based on Brevis.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because I mean, I would have liked to hear JP speak a little bit more about maybe what it was like for him to come into the team as a newbie because he came into a quite experienced team with a lot of stars in the side, and his initial integration into the team was basically supposed to be at first just on the bench, kind of in a way, as a future player, and then he got the opportunity prematurely to come into an Australia game and in a test match and a massive test match, and then he never looked back um, from that moment when he went on to score some big scores, replacing Ashwell Prince, of course. We know the story. So I would have liked to hear what he thought about that compared to him witnessing now JP Dewald Brevis come into a team that maybe doesn't have as many world renowned stars, you could say. I mean, yes, there's Quentin de Kock, there's KG Rabada, Anik Nokia, um, but I'm talking about like the ones that were massive legends of the game and amazing players for quite some time until then. So it's very interesting to see that. Would have been very interesting to hear that and see what he had to say on that. But let's continue.
I guess it becomes key now that these guys must be well into the team because looking at the longer vision of them being key
Yeah.
for the team moving forward. How important is the quick implementation?
Yeah, I guess there's an experience of trying to be as quick as possible in terms of that transition, but an integration. Should we wait for that? Huh? Okay. So I think it's important to note that the integration, yes, you're always trying to fast track that process, but allowing it to be authentic, and understanding the identity of the team, and that's certainly something that we're trying to drive quite hard, and understanding the impact as I spoke about, and where do we all fit into this picture of influencing and uniting a nation. Uh, and with that comes the understanding that everybody's on this journey and in different stages. So new guys coming in would experience it differently, and can we as staff, let's call it more experienced players, help with that journey? And that's certainly been my journey as a player. So as a coach now, that looks slightly different, but the intent is still the same. You're trying to bring guys in and allowing them to feel a sense of belonging very quickly, and that's where culture becomes so important. How do guys identify with the culture of the team very quickly, and not trying to conform, but understand their unique identity and bring it into the team, and allowing them to thrive in that space.
Just to come to what has been happening here over the last few days, there now is a very tangible thing right in front of you with the Australians coming here. Is there a sense of relief that training camps and training camps and training camps is now actually going to be able to lead to something that we can
Yeah.
run out of the field? Do you have a sense of a chomping at the bit from
Yeah.
the group in the dressing room?
Yeah, there's certainly a sense of excitement and a willingness to see the work that we've put in over the last few months come to fruition. You know, it's always going to be tested under pressure. The conversations we've had, the testing of our skills, it's going to be tested under pressure. So, what a great opportunity we have now leading into a World Cup to be playing against one of the best in the world. You know, even though it's home ground advantage against a unique team, and obviously our conditions. Um, but understanding the things that we've spoken about and how do we implement it in the game situation. So I'm certainly excited. I think all of us are, it's been probably close to 5 months since we've played a game. So,
Yeah.
which is very unique for South African cricket. Um, so I think importantly, we don't want to be finding ourselves trying to catch up in a series. We want to be trying to throw the first punch, if I can say it that way, and identify with the style of play that we're looking to achieve.
Yeah, so that's something I spoke about yesterday on the show. I said that this Australia series, just although it will be an opportunity to kind of test new players and get some new players to see how they operate under pressure, I would like to see us actually go in here from the start and give it our best shot. And I want to see some signs of our new style of play, s- or our mentality that we want and trying to implement within the squad, and the type of play or the type of game plan that we want to achieve. That includes the warm-ups. I don't want them to necessarily, yes, there are warm-up games in the World Cup, and yes, they aren't necessarily games that count for anything, but I would like them to try and play it, or to approach it like it is a World Cup game, because that's the only way you can really put yourself under the, or prepare yourself for the pressures that you're going to face when you actually play a game. You want to build that momentum into the World Cup. You don't want to be taking games lightly, and then that carries over into the matches that actually count. So throwing the first punch is something that I'd like them to see now that JP has said that. So I'm going to be actually watching the way they approach this Australia series very carefully.
And Australia are not at full strength. Missing one or two of the key guys. Will that work for you?
To be honest, I mean, it's not something that we're going to be speaking too long about. I think,
Good.
in a series such as this one, and again, you never want to take away the importance of a series. But what are we building towards? There's a greater picture of what we're trying to build towards. Now, that's not taking away the importance of results. That's really trying to focus on process. And when I talk about process, it's talking about our process. So, what are we trying to gain as a team? Trying to understand our combinations, trying to understand players' roles more clearly, who fits in where, on and off the field. And the fact that we have an opposition is important because we get to test it under pressure. And whoever that is, it's important for us to not look at the level or experience within that team. It's about trying to implement our game plans, which is ultimately what we like to do.
It's a different
Good. That's a good answer. You can only control what you can control. So ultimately, worrying about who's the opposition, and thinking about the opposition in that manner, I don't think is a good idea. Um, we saw in the World Cup, T20 World Cup, how we completely were dominated by the Netherlands and ended up losing that game. I don't know if it was a sense from the camp that of underestimation or anything, but um, it seemed like they underestimated the opposition. That they almost expected to win. So I do think that it's a good thing that he spoke about us worrying about our own plans, our own strategies, and our own combinations that we're trying to build, and not the opposition. I think that's a good way to approach this.
Format that you're going to be playing from what you're playing at the World Cup.
Yeah.
What do you take? Obviously, confidence is important. Besides that, what do you take out of the T20 series that you want to throw on when you're playing 50 over?
Well, momentum. It's a short turnaround from T20 to ODIs. And there's a few layovers in terms of players, right? Yes, I know that there are a few guys that are being rested and coming in for the ODIs, but the guys that are doing both, I think it's important for them to gain confidence there and carry that momentum through. But in saying that, you also have one eye on a T20 World Cup in a year's time, or just less than a year. How does that impact in terms of what we're trying to build going forward? Everything has consequence. Everything has a bigger picture in mind, which is always going to be an important factor from a coaching and a selection point of view. Yeah.
JP, for your individual or personally, I enjoyed this coaching gig for a while now. And how is it? And what is the response of some of the guys that you're working with?
Wow, I'd probably phrase it as I would want to be anywhere else right now. If you had asked me 10 years ago would I be coaching, it would have been definitely no. And it was fascinating how, when you retire from the game, and yes, there's certain things about the game that you miss. And the thing for me that there's always been a driver is purpose. So purpose always speaks into how do you influence other people. And I think coaching just speaks volumes with that. And I've found great fulfillment in whatever the role is in coaching. So I've certainly absolutely loved it, and continue to try and give my best as in whatever capacity that is. I've loved connecting with the guys. The vulnerability that they've been open to always gives you a great feeling of you playing a part in the journey. Um, yeah, so long may it continue. Let's see where the road ends.
And you were a big player yourself.
Really?
There are a lot of egos out there in team environment.
Say again?
I'm saying there are a lot of egos in the team environment.
Sure.
How are you now being on the other side and you deal with the big egos?
Big egos. I think it doesn't matter where you work and what sort of role you play in any organization. There's always going to be ego that's going to be at play. And I think the important thing around that is understanding how do we facilitate learning throughout that. And I think that's greatest learnings that I take every single day as a coach is, can I have a vision of curiosity over judgment? Can I take a back seat in a sense, like in my mind, around, okay, whatever I'm gonna say, it's not about me. It's about the next person. It's about the team, or what gets said to me. What sort of reviews or reflections or responses I get. It's not a direct impact on me. It's always in the greater picture of what we're trying to do as a team and where we're going. So I think if we can continually sort of review ourselves that way, I don't think ego is going to get too much in the way, but you're never going to get away from it. I think the important thing is to acknowledge it and accept that it's there, and then how do we best make decisions with that in mind.
Okay, so that was JP Dumini's interview with the media. I was a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit disappointed about that one because I was hoping that more questions would have been asked about our batting, about the role of DEWALD, about filling that number 7 spot, and also that what his work has been like with regards to someone like Aiden Markram, who's also bowling and batting like he did back in the day, but maybe just a little higher. So I'm not completely happy with everything that took place in the thing, but there were some good questions asked, and then I obviously paused and stopped when they gave some good answers. So we're going to move on now to the next one, and we're going to go on to Donovan Ferreira now. I think first and foremost, I think we'll end off with DEWALD BREVIS, because that's the one that everybody's actually waiting for, ultimately. So I'm going to put that one up on the screen because, yeah, I would have liked them to ask him a little bit more questions about his role as a batting coach and or what sort of strategies he's going to instill or what sort of strategies he's instilling into the team. Um, how much of it is actually mental and how much of it is actually um, technical. So yeah, unfortunately that wasn't asked, but it is what it is. So let's move on to Donovan Ferreira and see what he had to say. A newbie in the team in the squad, so it will be interested to see to hear what he says about his call up and being part of the Proteas setup now.
Donovan, hi. Just on getting your first call up to the Proteas, how does that feel? Obviously excited.
Yeah, I mean, obviously anyone would be excited, but I think it was a bit of like just came out of the blue because I didn't hear anything, and then I was on my way to CPL, and then Coach Rob called me on the airport and said, "Listen, you're part of the T20 squad against Australia." So in that moment, you always dream of playing for your country, and then you get a phone call, and everything just starts running through your head. Like, should you be crying? Should you be smiling? Should you be jumping with joy? What should you be doing? You don't really know. So yeah, I just had to make some plans to get back. So I flew to CPL for 1 or 2 games, and now I'm back joining them on Sunday in Durban.
So what was it? Tears, jumping, crying? What?
No crying. It was, like I say, there was a lot of mixed emotions because, like I say, so for me, I think it was just like excitement and all your hard work that's paid off. I think it's just that relief that you finally playing, or hopefully you're going to play for your country and you're part of the squad. So I mean, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of emotions running through your body, and that I think it's undescribable. I think once you get the phone call, you'll only understand. You can't really describe it.
I want to mention something over there. He's not the first player to say that he didn't expect it and it came out of the blue and almost like a surprise. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because for me personally, I would have liked to think that communications between the fringe players, you would say, or the next in line, was being had between the coach Rob Walter and the players, so that they know where they stand. Also, when a coach calls you, you'll probably be speaking about what maybe you need to improve, what you need to focus on, what you'd like to see from you, if you ever do get the call up. I wonder if those conversations were had. But taking it from this context, it was completely out of the blue and a shock. I don't think a lot of us thought that Donovan would have gotten his call up right now. So maybe there was a reason why. Obviously, we know that there are players rested in this T20, in this T20 series. How long do they know that they're going to be resting these players? That may be why also it was quite a sudden call. But I would have liked to know that at least the players are being communicated with, at least the ones that they have in their thoughts for future call-ups. That is something that I would have liked to see from that perspective.
Not as a musical issue, was it fine? Predicted?
I mean, obviously, you guys, there's a lot of stuff you guys do behind the scenes when nobody's watching it. Do you have a feeling of maybe it came a little bit too late, or you're just happy that it's happening the way it's happening in the club?
Yeah, so I'm happy. Like, I believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Like, once you start preempting things and trying to control it, then you just set yourself up for disappointment. So I believe it came at the perfect time. I mean, what is the perfect time in actual fact? So I'm happy that it came now. I feel like my game's at a good spot. I'm in a good space with my cricket at the moment. And maybe if it came earlier, it might have not been good. Maybe if it came later, it might have not been good. So for me, that's not really controllable, but I'm glad it came now, and hopefully I get opportunity, and I'll take the opportunity with both hands.
How, in many senses, it's an unbelievable story was that you had to take leave, get that tournament in Bloemfontein, and those couple of innings that you played for the Titans. And it's quite a short space of time, right? About
Yeah,
18
it's
months,
2 years.
2 years. Like, when you've had an opportunity to reflect on that, what goes through your head? What do you kind of, the heck am I here? How have I been to the IPL? I'm flying to the CPL. Meanwhile, I'm changing plans to get back to play for the Proteas. Would you reflect on all of that, Donovan?
Yeah, so I mean,
What goes through your head?
obviously that's why I think I have the attitude like everything must happen at the right time, because I kind of had to stop playing cricket 2 years ago to go work full time. And then out of the blue, Mandla called me and said, listen, we need you to come play. So everything so far in my career has happened out of the blue. Like I wasn't expecting any of this. Like I wasn't expecting this call up. You know, I didn't expect IPL. I didn't expect SA20. I didn't expect the Titans call up. So everything that's happened has been very unexpected. But I think that allows you just to appreciate everything when it comes, because you never know when things might get taken away, and you never know when the next opportunity must come. So I've just had the mindset that each game I play and every time I get an opportunity, it could be your last. And I've been just cherishing each moment and every change room that I'm in, trying to make as much memories as possible. And, you know, I enjoyed working, but I don't want to go back there. So I know how it is to be there. So I think that's also a bit of motivation when you're not feeling great or whatever. You just remember those times where you had to go sit in the office from 9 to 5. And, you know, if your boss is upset with you, you just have to take it or whatever the case is. So this is much more enjoyable, having half-day trainings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a bit of a emotional roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs where you're upset with cricket and then cricket comes back and wants you to keep in the game. So yeah, everything's working out, and that's why I say everything's meant to be. And clearly they want me to play cricket, so that's why that's why I'm getting these opportunities, and hopefully I can just take it with both hands and capitalize.
Yeah, it shows. It speaks volumes for his character. For him to be able to stay focused and be ready, you know, when that call up comes, that shows that Donovan had to have kept. He had to keep himself fit. He had to keep himself focused. He had to focus on what he can control, so that if something, because as he said, things came out of the blue, and that is the case. He did really well adapting to those changes in his life. I mean, these aren't small changes. This is massive changes. Working in an office, we had him on our show where he gave us his whole background and everything about how things started for him. So you guys can watch that exclusive on Cricket Fanatics magazine. But to be able to change his life in an instant like that, it's crazy. That he was ready for that, and that's a lesson to all of us, you know, to stay focused on what you can control and do the best that you can in that moments, because you need to always be prepared for if something like that happens, if a massive change in your life happens. So that's a good advice to all of us out there, for a way to look forward and to stay focused on the tasks that you have at hand and that you're immediately involved with, because all of his call ups came at a sudden period in his life. I mean, I remember the Titans call up was all out of the blue, and then he came onto the scene and he instantly impressed. Going to the IPL was a shock call up for him as well. So and it would have changed his life as well, because he would have had a massive pay increase and everything. And now the Proteas gig, and he's going to have to go out there and perform if he gets the opportunity immediately. And the one thing I can say about Donovan is that every single time he's been put into these scenarios, he's come up on top. So I'm hoping that for the Proteas, it will be the same.
What kind of work?
You need to speak to someone at Netflix.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's wait for my career to pick up a bit more.
Netflix.
Sorry, what kind of work did you do?
Yeah, so I worked at a company called IQ Sports, so they sponsor me. So I was like a salesperson there. I was even servicing Heinrich Klaassen, giving them stats doing stuff. So all the players, I was basically managing a bit of the players, but doing mostly sales, so going to schools, selling cricket balls, cricket shirts.
Bad.
Yeah, so pretty tough having to go and graft.
Just to discuss what is coming up, the prospect of facing Australia in your first series. What is that like?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously very exciting. I think facing such a big opposition, there's a lot of history between South Africa and Australia. There's a lot of rivalry. So, you know, I have to, if I get a chance to play, I have to take it with both hands, you know, represent the country. You have so many people following you, so there's a lot at stake. But I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to show the world, you know, what us as a team can do and what myself as an individual can do. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing, just expressing myself, and no better opposition to do it than against Australia.
What are your memories
Perfect
of
attitude.
South Africa and Australia's rivalry? It has been particularly intense in the last 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think everyone remembers that game, the 438 game. That was a big game, you know. That's what we heard growing up, you know, such a big game. But I remember always watching the test matches against him. I'll never forget Mitchell Johnson steaming in over here, AB scoring that 100 over here. So I think there's too many things to describe. I think it's always such an exciting series. It's always such an exciting moment to play against Australia because something's going to happen. They're going to come with a fire attack. You're going to come with fire team. So,
The fire team.
it's always just up there. It's always good cricket. Whichever way it goes, it's always a good game. So, and the Aussies are always up for it. I just remember you hear the Aussies playing tough cricket, and always coming hard at the South Africans, and the South Africans just bouncing back and not letting anything go, not letting anything slip, just fighting back as well. So it's always competitive, and I'm competitive as a player as well. So it's going to be nice to be out there if I get a chance.
Anyone else? All good?
Oh, good.
Happy days. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that was a good one. For us to understand Donovan's character. I mean, that's what I'm taking out of this particular interview or media chat. His character, he sounds calm, sounds confident. He believes in himself. I see that some of you guys have commented here, like for example, Waka said here, he sounds very calm and confident. And yes, that's the thing that I've taken out as the main factor from that conversation. It's interesting because Donovan, when we interviewed him for the first time as well, the one thing that stood out to me is that how comfortable he was talking to me, talking to us on Cricket Fanatics. It was one of his first, I think it was his first interview live on a show, for example. So he was very interesting to speak to. I mean, we spoke like we knew each other, and that was a plus. But even though we didn't know each other, but that's the one thing that I thought was awesome about him, is that he adapted to this so well. He adapted to media and all of these things so well. So it's very interesting to see that transition and how confident and comfortable he feels. He has adapted to all of these challenges that he's faced. And yes, Werner, the interview with Don was a pleasure. Yes, we had Werner on that interview as well. I think there might be one or two. I'm not 100%. There's quite a few from Donovan, but the Werner was on one of the latest ones with Don Verreira. It was an excellent conversation with him. We must say so. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, and this is DEWALD BREVIS. I kept the star of the show for last, kind of, because we know how big of a name he is currently on this channel. He's someone that always a lot of people like to listen to and always ask me to get him on the show, etc. So yeah, let's go into it. His interview on the channel is one of the highest viewed interviews on the channel so far. So the couple that we did with him. So you guys can also look at some of that, because it's always nice to see where players started and where they are now. And those interviews that we did with DEWALD really gives us an insight into how things were then and where he's transgressed to right now. So we're going to go into that interview and see what he had to say, because I was very interested to hear what the media would ask him when it came to this particular interview. So let's get into it.
How has it been the past few days for you with the national team?
It's really been amazing these last few days, because a dream has come true for me from a very young age, that I've wanted to be part of this amazing setup of the Protea. So it's been an honor, and it's been wonderful to live out my dream and to spend time with the team. So couldn't have asked for anything better.
I was going to ask based on that, what has been the biggest challenge for you? It can be quite scary coming into an environment like this. But
there is definitely, but everyone welcomed me with open arms. So I'm really grateful for that. There's obviously always challenges. You always want to get better. There's always something to work on. Things doesn't always turn out as you want. So you just have to be strong, be in the moment, and just always trust in God's timing. So however that goes, I just know that everything happens for a reason.
Do you feel The word of expectation. There's a lot has been said about
Um, I know there will always be expectation, and I always like that because there's more reason to show who you are. Then pressure is always there. Like I really must say, like I feel pressure, but I like it, so I encourage it, and I go straight head on head with the pressure. So yeah, just how you deal with it. It's just being yourself and enjoying the moment and trying not to think too much of it.
Now that's been a consistency that I've had with DEWALD. Every single interview, every single conversation I've had with him, he's always told me the same thing, that he likes the pressure. Um, he prefers to play under pressure. And that's something that is, I would have to say, unique in people. You would expect it in professional sports people or professional sports players. But for a youngster to tell me that he looks forward to the pressure, he wants the pressure. He's always told me that in previous interviews, in conversations that we've had off camera. So he's continued that narrative straight through. So that must be pretty genuine, I think, when it comes to that.
One of the things that has happened with you in a very short space of time is that you've gone from being a top order player to a middle order player, something that Shook's and Rob have now pushed for you to become. I was wondering how you felt about that particular change and the adapting that you've needed to do to those two different roles.
My biggest thing is I always want to be a person that can play all roles. Wherever I have to bat for the team, bowl, wherever, I'll always give my best in that. I really enjoy wherever I bat. Like I must say, the last ODI since Sri Lanka, where I batted middle order, like you play the situation basically where if you open, like you create it. So it's a lot of new things, but it's always nice to have those challenges. And yeah, wherever you bat, like you just keep doing your best and you just enjoy it.
The gold line over there, the ultimate, the piece of gold that was said or was spoken about there is that as an opener, I mean, in the middle order, you play the situation, which is awesome. And I think as an opener, he said, you create it. Now, that's a brilliant line because that gives me some insight into what we should be expecting from openers, especially in our team. I think that's something that we need to take into consideration when we're watching our opening batters play now from now onwards. I think if a young cricketer is saying that, then and he's saying that at such a young age, and that's how he assesses it. I mean, he's a very talented player. It must be true, but yeah, no, that's just tongue in cheek. But it's interesting to think of it that way because that's exactly how we want our openers to play. You know, we want Quentin de Kock, Temba Bavuma, for example, in the ODIs, to control the game and decide and put the pressure back on the opposition. So create that pressure on the opposition from in the power plays. Similarly, in T20, you want them to be able to be dominant and to control the outcome that is happening. So that's an interesting line. I think that's a brilliant line, actually, from Deva. That's gold dust.
Yeah, you're still a young man, and there's a lot happening in your life now. You can say family, fortune, and stuff like that. Do you have, like people behind the scenes who are ensuring that they manage your stuff? Because I guess if you don't have that kind of thing, a lot of stuff can go wrong. Obviously, not giving too much personal details out, but who are the people who are managing things to ensure that everything goes according to plan?
I must say, like, I'm very fortunate. I've got lots of a good circle in a bubble that I have. Like, obviously, my family is one of them, and then also like my agent and Weber and Cronia that helps me with my stuff. Like, I'm very blessed with them, and they always help me with the right decisions and how to go about things. Also, so I'm really privileged with that.
Yeah, he has a very good support structure.
The prospect of facing Australia, South Africa has got a heck of a rich history, and the last decade of cricket between those two sides has been like it's been really frantic and hard fought. It's your first series. I wonder, give us your feelings about that being your first series coming up
I
against an
must,
old rival.
I must say I'm so excited because it's gonna be proper heat and lots of fighting. So I can't wait for that. Always like it, so I can't wait to go out there and yeah, just run straight into them. Um, give your best. It's going to be exciting because they are one of the top cricketing nations. So it's going to be good cricket and hard cricket.
Just from the perspective
Brilliant.
of growing up and watching those battles, what memories do you have? What was the favorite things you can recall from watching South Africa versus Australia?
No, I can just remember always like basically South Africa batting, and then you get like the heat of Mitchell Johnson and those guys running in trying to kill the batters, and then how we punch them straight back with whatever we do. So you can always see the rivalry is there, and it's gonna be heated situations and moments of the game, and it's whoever is stronger and willing to fight more is gonna end up on top.
Brilliant.
In Kingsmead?
Well, Kingsmead, I'm very excited for that. Actually, it's quite special as well because obviously it's in South Africa to be able to make your debut if it happens. But the biggest thing is like we actually have pictures of when I was a little boy of me watching the game and the Proteas playing at um, Kingsmead. So it's quite cool to be able to make your debut there if it happens.
Were you at the ground when these pictures?
Yeah, I was literally at the ground, like maybe like pictures with all of the players, even with Quinny, and I was like this small. Pictures of Quinny, everyone said.
Yes, so we're getting old,
How
guys.
much interaction, because you've played in all these leagues around the world now, how much interaction have you had with the Aussies? I mean, do you know many of them?
Yeah, I know a few like Cam Green, um, yeah, Jason Berenduff, Tim David. So yeah, it's really like if you play leagues, like you mix with all of the different like nations and cricketing guys, and you learn to form a team with them also and spend time with them. But it's when where I'm now, like it's your people, it's your core basically. So it's nice to be able to.
And what must an ordinary cricket fan expect?
Sorry.
What must an ordinary
Before we get to that, that's brilliant actually because that's why I was happy to an extent that he was experiencing international superstars around the world playing IPL because he would have obviously come and also playing the in this SA20. What I didn't actually highlight before is that these youngsters that are getting opportunities to play in these T20 tournaments are going to be rubbing shoulders with some of the best international players in the world. So by the time they get their debut, they are already starting to they already understand or know what to expect from these players. I remember when I was a kid, when I used to play cricket and basically any sport that I played, normally there's a buzz around certain people or opposition and players that you're going to be facing against, or opposition players, and you'd hear things about them, but you've never faced them before. So there's that sense of excitement, but also that sense of nervousness of what of not knowing what to expect. How good are these people actually? How do I compare to them? And then going in there with a bit of uncertainty. But if I had um, that knowledge of seeing them in action, maybe training with them, etc., beforehand, I'd feel a lot calmer and um, a lot more comfortable in adapting my game to what they're going to be bringing to me. So I think it's brilliant that he had that experience around the world to be able to already know some of the younger players. I mean, the opposition players and international players, and seeing what they can obviously um, provide. So he's coming in there kind of prepared because he's seen some of these Australians already.
cricket fan expect from you?
I just want people to get to know me as DEWALD BREVIS and just see how I go about my things, and I want to inspire people and be an example for people.
Cool. I've got one just from Zahir Adams. How much has playing in the SA20 in front of big crowds prepared you or for your possible international debut for the Proteas?
I think it's obviously prepared because it's cool. Like the country and everyone in South Africa came in numbers, so I believe that there will be a lot of people also Kingsmead and wherever we play. So it's always good to have your support from South Africans that come in. It's a different crowd as well. Like the people is just lovely to see people up here wherever we play on the grass and bankings and stuff. So I hope and I can't wait to see everyone out there.
Great. Okay, awesome. So, like I said, yeah, pretty straightforward. Ultimately, it wasn't necessarily crazy or breaking stories, but that one line was excellent. When you're playing the middle order, the situation dictates the way you're going to play, and when you open the batting, you create the situation. So I like that. I love that line. I think that's the main line from this whole entire media day that they had with some of the players and the coaches. And I would like to hear your thoughts as well in the comment section. What did you guys think? What were some of the parts of the interviews that you enjoyed? What didn't you enjoy so much? Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of that particular interview. Okay, guys, it was a long show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed that this little interaction and reaction we had today on the show. We will pick up again next week sometime. I'll maybe give you a opportunity to ask me questions. I don't know how we're going to fit that in because we're going to be Monday is going to go straight into the preview for Australia. We're going to be discussing it, and then on Wednesday we're going to be playing against Australia. So we're very excited. I'm very excited to see some cricket again. It's been such a long time before we had these previews and review shows when cricket is happening. So I'm excited to see to kickstart the new season playing Australia, and then we got a World Cup to cover together. So it's going to be awesome, guys. It's going to be a jam-packed cricket season, and we're going to have plenty of shows coming your way. So because of all the free content we do, we would like to you guys to help us out too by becoming a patron today. So please click on the link. The link is on the screen, but you can also click the one in the description and go ahead and show your support for Cricket Fanatics. Also, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. Support us on cricketfanaticsmag.com as well. That's where we will also be doing articles, etc., for all the games. If you want a quick summary of what took place in the games, if you didn't get to watch it, and then finally, we are so close to 4,000 subscribers. I'm hoping that during this Australia series, we hit that 4,000 mark. So please subscribe right now. Tell your friends and family that are South African cricket fans to do so too. Click that notification bell for all future videos as well. To the guys out there, thanks a lot for joining me on my Friday show. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I want you please to enjoy your weekend as much as possible. Stay safe as well. Stay warm in all parts of South Africa, wherever you are, and anywhere else in the world. And enjoy the rest of your day and night and evening and the rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys again on Monday with another daily show. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you guys very, very soon. Peace out.